Hoje estamos cozinhando comida de Cabo Verde. I hope I got that right. Welcome back to Cliffieland. This is week and country number 32 on our second attempt of cooking the food of every country in the world. And tonight we're up to the nation of Cabo Verde, or as you may know it, Cape Verde. Trivia note, in 2013, their United Nations delegation asked the world to stop translating the name of their country into other languages. Ergo, Portuguese, Cabo Verde, Cape Verde. We're working on making the switch. In any case, the nation is a collection of 10 volcanic islands located off the western shore of Africa. Basically, you go to Senegal and head straight west. These are unpopulated islands until the Portuguese explorers discovered them, brought over African slaves, and then history happened. The food is very much like that of other former Portuguese colonies around the world in that it is a mix of the Iberian tradition, i.e. Portuguese/Spanish, native African cuisine, and involves recipes and ingredients that are sourced locally as well as from throughout all the former Portuguese colonies all around the world. Which brings us to tonight's dish, which is Cachupa Rica. Basically, an everything but the kitchen sink stew made in 3 parts. More on that in a moment. But first, we need to see how things went 4 years ago when we tried this the first time. Okay, last time around, again, I was just getting started. I, along with the various other people cooking their way around the world, relied on one kind of vague recipe that involved all sorts of substitutions, since there doesn't seem to be one master Cachupa Rica recipe that exists in English on the internet. Thankfully, in the interim, the unbelievably detailed blogger at cookedearth.com did the backbreaking research in finding Portuguese recipes online, a Cape Verdean recipe book in Portuguese that seemed to have the actual master recipe as close as he could find. He made it, and we're going to try to reproduce that here. Hopefully it's as traditional as can possibly be made here with what I was able to find. And boy, are there a lot of ingredients. In fact, some of them are kind of hard to find, so hopefully you may have a Portuguese, Brazilian, or Cape Verdean market somewhere in your area. Trivia note, there are actually more Cape Verdeans living outside of Cape Verde than in Cape Verde, and a large population of them are located in the American Northeast, like Rhode Island. Anyway, there are a million ingredients, so let's take a look at them right now. First, for our Cachupa Rica, we'll need 2 cups of dried cracked hominy corn, 1/2 cup of small dried chickpeas, 1/2 cup of dried stone beans. Since we couldn't find those, we have here substituted pinto beans, and 1 cup of dried lima beans, and 1/2 pound of linguiça, fresh pork sausage, uncut, 1 smoked chorizo sausage, uncut, 1 smoked morcilla blood sausage, uncut, 1 farinhena sausage, uncut, 3/4 pounds of chicken parts, 1 ounce of salt pork sliced, 1/2 of a large onion cut into rings, 2 garlic cloves peeled and finely chopped, 1/2 pound of firm tomatoes seeded and quartered, 1/2 of a small Savoy cabbage, 1/2 pound of sweet potatoes which will need to be peeled and cubed, 1/2 pound of yuca which will need to be peeled and cubed, 1/2 pound of inhame peeled and cubed, and 1 green plantain peeled and sliced, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, olive oil as needed, and crushed red chili flakes to taste. That wasn't much, was it? Just kidding! It's gonna be a lot of work, and it's gonna start the day before we actually cook. So, let's step into our Wayback Machine and get started. Go! First, the night before cooking, place the hominy, lima beans, chickpeas, and stone beans, or in our case, pinto beans, into a large bowl. Add water to cover and soak overnight in the refrigerator. Drain the grains and legumes, rinse well, add to a large pot, and once again, add cold water to cover. Bring the pot to a boil, reduce the heat, and simmer for 1 hour. After 1 hour, add the whole linguiça, fresh pork sausage, chorizo, smoked pork sausage, morcilla, smoked blood sausage, and farinhena, Portuguese smoked sausage. Simmer for 1 more hour or until the beans are tender. Meanwhile, season the chicken with salt and crushed red pepper flakes and set aside in a pot or large saucepan. In a large saucepan, heat the olive oil. Add the onions and garlic and simmer until the onions are transparent. Add the tomatoes and simmer for about 5 minutes. Remove half of the tomato-onion mixture and place it in the pot or large saucepan with the chicken pieces. And add half a cup of water or more to the pot. Bring the pot with the chicken to a boil and then simmer until the chicken is tender, approximately 30 minutes, adding more water as necessary. Meanwhile, in a third pot, cook the sliced salt pork until the fat cooks out. Then add the cubed sweet potatoes, cubed yuca, cubed inyame, cabbage, and the rest of the tomato-onion mixture, and add enough water to barely cover it. The cabbage should fall apart during the cooking process. Simmer the vegetables until they are tender, about 25 to 30 minutes, adding more water if it needs it. About 5 minutes before the end of cooking, add the plantains to the mix. Finally, remove the sausages from the beans and cut them into 1-inch pieces. Return the sausages back to the bean pot. Then, to serve, place the beans and meat mixture in a large deep dish. Serve the vegetables on a large platter, and serve the chicken in a deep covered dish. Serve family style and enjoy. Oh boy, that was a lot of food. We're gonna have leftovers in the freezer for weeks. No kidding, the original recipe seemed to have served somewhere between 12 and 18 people. That was cut in half, and even then, bleh. But the big question is, how did it all turn out? Well, the idea of cooking the stew components separately really was great because it allowed everything to have its own flavor. It was curious though that only the chicken part of it was salted, although there was plenty of salt in with the beans and sausage that was built into the sausage. Everything had a lot of great flavor, everything had its own integrity, which was nice. The beans were cooked properly, the sausages had a variety of different flavors, as did the tubers. Still, it does need a little more salt overall. Overall, I'm gonna give this massive dish, the Cachupa Rica, 4 out of 5 globes. Very tasty and exceedingly complicated. Well, that does it for Cape Verde. Remember, if you'd like to see our streams live when they happen every Tuesday night, feel free to follow us on Periscope or Busker. Like and subscribe if you'd like to be advised when these videos are posted every Wednesday night. And if you have any thoughtful comments, helpful suggestions on the food of Cabo Verde, Cape Verde, or any of our future countries, let us know in the comments. And tune in next week when we head to the African mainland to have the food of CAR, aka the Central African Republic. Till then, thanks for watching and happy eating!